بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. كيف حالكم؟ الحمد لله ما شاء الله. You know, I'm thinking of an example, an extraneous example, which would help facilitate the format of our class. And that is, you know, when we come to the mosque and we're going to pray. So before the prayer, the person leading the congregation, he says, Sawu sufufakum, straighten the lines. Now normally that responsibility, you and I may consider that to be the exclusive responsibility of the Imam. But that's not so. Every individual person has the responsibility to ensure that they're standing straight, and the person next to them as well. The reason why I'm mentioning this example is that we come to a class, right? So this class is meant to facilitate learning and teaching, right? It is ultimately my responsibility as a teacher to help facilitate that. But each and every one of us in our individual capacity must contribute to that environment of learning and teaching. So in that spirit, inshallah, I would love to ask the brothers at the back, if you find some space in front of you, inshallah, to come a bit to the front, so we can fill the spaces in the front, inshallah. May Allah reward you abundantly and increase you in all goodness. It may be a bit of a struggle. Since you were sitting there from 8:30 a.m., it might be difficult to move, but just do it. Bismillah. Even pack up the desk in front of you, move somewhat to the front. May Allah reward you abundantly. And there's no discrimination. The ladies can do the same thing. Bismillah. Please come to the front. There's a gap in front of you, fill it up. There's a desk there, put it together. We're all in this together, brothers, whether we love it or not. Bismillah. Reward you. Tamam. Yeah. Fil haraka baraka. They say there is blessing in movement. Now, Ya Allah. Allah reward you. Tamam. So I remind you, whilst you are moving, inshallah, Allah reward you abundantly, that the Prophet ﷺ, one person came into the gathering, and he came forward, aqbala. In Arabic, the word is aqbala. So for us, you know, it's just a gathering, and I was sitting at the back, and now I moved forward. The Prophet ﷺ, in a beautiful way, he says, aqbala, he came forward. Where? To you and I, he came forward in terms of a sitting. فَأَقْبَلَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ. He came forward in the sitting. Allah came forward to him. And this is very important, I think, in terms of our orientation. If you come to a Sunday class, right, and now we are sitting there and you confine yourself to the format, the apparent format, which is you have a teacher, you have a student, and you have the subject matter, right? If you confine yourself to that format, you are limiting yourself. You must look beyond the teacher. This coming is not a coming to the class to the teacher. This coming is a coming to Allah. There's just a format for it. But when I sit there behind the desk with a pen, paper, book, the word of Allah, this is my journey to Allah. That is the significance of this lesson. And it is, if we just came a translocation from home to Mount View, right? What in that justifies that when you come to class, it is on the wings of angels that you tread? Moving from one place to another place, is that the justification? No. This is because you're moving, taking steps to Allah. So what happens now? To take blessing from you, right? Out of sheer happiness and ecstasy for what you are doing, the angels say, we're not going to give you the red carpet, we're going to give you the feather carpet. Subhanallah. May Allah accept and may Allah bless. So all the hearts are turned on, inshallah. Tamam. This is the journey of the hearts to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So last week, inshallah, without any further ado, we have about 20 minutes, inshallah, and we're going to see how far we can get in terms of reading Surah 2 At-Teen. So I want you to, brothers, also, I know there's a certain thrust in terms of the class, and that is you take it easy, you know. I support that in as far as all of your other periods are concerned. I'm 100% behind it. I advocated, if you're going to say take it easy, I say Zindabad. Zindabad means like long live, you know. But when it comes to the last period, I want to humbly encourage you, Buddha, Titi, there needs to be some robustness. There needs to be some vigor when it comes to learning, and not any knowledge, sacred knowledge. That knowledge which will guide us to and along the straight path. It can't be a flaccid process. It's not going to work. There must be some earnestness. You with me? I don't want to trap on your toes, but this is about learning. This is about taking this golden opportunity, taking, you know, the bull by its horns. Allah's giving me this opportunity to learn His word. To not only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, many others, when they read the word of Allah, they do it, you know, second, third tier. They read translation. Well, Allah is affording the opportunity where this interlocution between Allah and your heart is direct. You read and you understand, right? And that words enters into your heart and finds a manifestation in terms of your entire existence. Every Sunday morning, Allah is giving you this opportunity. So in terms of our attitude towards, oh Allah, I am grateful for this opportunity, verbally. In our hearts is an attitude of gratitude. In terms of our action, because when you're sitting here, remember we're sitting in front of Allah, in a house of Allah, in a position we want to receive that light from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, you know, that type of heart, that type of mind, that sense of urgency. Sit in this class as if it's your last class. Hang on to these words. You know, they say you come to a class, it could be that whilst you're dozing off, which is also an act of worship while you're in the masjid, even despite the fact you're sleeping, the angel is still seeking forgiveness on your behalf and all of those virtues. But it may be that whilst we are dozing, catching fish, it may be that Allah had written our guidance on that verse that was mentioned whilst we were sleeping. It talks about the avariceness, you know, in terms of, where's my guidance? It might be, لَقَدْ خَلَقَنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. There Allah wrote it. So we must be all ears. This is the word of Allah. This is the word of Allah is what? It's divine. It's archaic. It's a part and parcel of Allah. It's miraculous in its very nature. You are being afforded the opportunity to be touched by the divine, for your life to be changed by the divine word. This is the opportunity. So therefore, you know, when we talk about, you know, our etiquette, our mannerisms, the way we are, that is the type of psyche frame of mind that we need to be in. May Allah grant us the understanding. So inshallah we'll continue now with Surah At-Teen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we continue from verse number 4. And just to remind yourself and myself, Surah At-Teen is called a surah as opposed to Jidar. Jidar means low hole, surah means high hole, because every chapter contains high and lofty meanings, number one. This particular chapter, was it revealed in Makkah or Medina? Or rather, is it Makki or Madani? Makki, in other words, revealed before the immigration. One of the primary proofs of that is that Allah says in the beginning, وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ, this noble city, referring to Makkah. Okay? And then the theme of the surah would be what? The power of Allah. And we saw in the first 3 verses how this power of Allah is manifested in what? In the creation of the fig, the olive in the Mount Sinai, which is found in the Sinai desert, an area between Egypt and Palestine, and also the creation of Mecca. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes it to the next level. And now you want to witness the greatness of Allah. And what is a greater manifestation of the power of Allah than the creation of the fig, the creation of Mount Sinai, the creation of Mecca? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says now, لَقَدْ خَلَقَنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. Now, brothers and sisters, in terms of our class, to be honest with you, and this might sound very strange to you, right? But I am not concerned about the translation. Or rather, let me put it this way, we should not be overly concerned with the translation. You follow me? Because there are other modes that can facilitate for that. It's very simple. You have the Quran, you have a Quranic translation. You look at verse number 4, Surah 13, and then you look to the translation, you get a perfect translation. You don't even have to worry about scrambling to write in the translation. It's there for you. You with me? What do we want? We want the first-hand experience, whereby the tools of grammar and morphology that you have been equipped with up until now. This morning, I just happened to pass by and I saw, congratulations, you on base camp. So in other words, you have the basic tools, right, with which to read and understand. That's the process. You read Quran. Based on the tools that you've been given, you understand the word. And the last step is, if you want to put that into a translation, no problem. You follow me? I'll tell you why. We look just the first 2 words now. Laqad. Have you come across the word laqad before? Yes or no? No. Okay, majority say no. No problem. Right? So I'm going to explain to you the meaning of laqad. Right? So in the Arabic language, the word la is a word. On its own, it's a word. You know what I'm saying? So now I want to tell the person next to you, turn to the person next to you, it's called shoulder partnering, and say to him, la. Bismillah. No, you must say it with meaning, man. La. I see there's a great reluctance for you to say la. Say la. The person next to you, turn to him and say to him, la. Tamam, tamam. Now the word la is an instrument in the Arabic language that talks about emphasis. Allah wants to emphasize something. You with me? Everybody know what emphasis is? A friend of mine, he used to tendency, and not the right tendency, to use expletives. Expletives means a swear word. So I asked him, look here, every second word is a swear word. He says, like in the Arabic language, you have a shadda, tashdid, for emphasis. Sometimes I just have to. Emphasis. Emphasis. So Allah says, la. La is for emphasis. And the next word is, and can you repeat after me? Qad. Qad. Now the word la is an emphasis. Qad is an emphasis. There are 2 emphases. Allah wants to tell you in terms of meaning, laqad. So you can say, indeed, verily, it doesn't matter what. All you need to know is that la and qad is emphasis. Allah is serious. Allah, what He's saying now is He says with a great degree, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. You know what it's like? It's like saying, Wallahi billahi, 10 days in Quran. Emphasis. Emphasis. So Allah says, laqad. And the unique thing about qad is generally it enters upon a past tense verb. The word qad enters upon a past tense verb, not a particle, not a noun. It enters upon a verb. What type of verb? Past tense verb. Now look at the next word. What does the next word say? Khalaqana. Khalaqana. Tell me, that form of the word, does it ring a bell? Does it sound like fa'alna? Yes. Now what is, let's not jump the gun, right? We want to build the foundation solidly. So let's look at khalaqa. Khalaqa, he one male created, right? Khalaqa, khalaq. You must follow me now. I can see things. Khalaqa, khalaqa, khalaqu, khalaqat, khalaqata, khalaqana, khalaqata, khalaqatuma, khalaqatum, khalaqati, khalaqatuma, khalaqatunna, khalaqatu. What does khalaqatu mean? I created. But now I can say now khalaqatu, I created. But what if I tell you la qad khalaqatu? You with me? Indeed, verily, I created. But now what does Allah say khalaqatu? Or what does it read? Khalaqa? Nah. Indeed, we created. You follow? But now, wait, what translation are you working with? No translation. This is a direct connection. لَقَدْ خَلَقَنَا. Indeed, we created. So what's the next question you're going to ask me? What did we create? Excellent. But if we take a step before that, Allah saying we created, is Allah plural or is Allah singular? Singular. So if Allah said لَقَدْ خَلَقَتُ, all of us would understand. But now Allah says لَقَدْ خَلَقَنَا. Why? Allah says we, but Allah is in one. You with me? And this is part, and we read Quran, we want to read, and you know, I believe firmly, I'm convinced, and we need to read about, you see, for many of us coming to this class is just about an Arabic class. But the fact that Arabic is the medium of the divine word means a lot. You follow me? Allah could have chosen any other language. Allah chose the Arabic language as the medium for His divine word, number one. The Arabic language in itself is a tool of learning. The Arabic language is a tool of learning. And what the Arabic language does, it starts you thinking of things. And that's a problem in terms of our community. We are not a thinking community. And if you want to start, you know, that motions of thinking, there's no better place to start than to start learning the Arabic language. It forces you to think. And that's what we need to do today. We are a complacent community. In terms of our intellectual capacity, we are very complacent because we don't think. The Arabic language as a medium forces you to think. So now khalaqana, it means we. So why does Allah say we? I want you to think, we must think. Why does Allah say we? You know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily want the answer from you, but we must think about it because Allah could have said laqad khalaqatu, khalaqana. So our ulama give two reasons. The one is that Allah uses what we refer to as the royal pronoun. Allah is one, but He uses the royal pronoun and He refers to Himself, who is a single entity, as we. You with me? Is that understandable in terms of language? Yes, people do it, we do it in different cultures. I know a little bit about Urdu also. So when you speak Urdu, then you, as opposed to, you address one person. You don't say two. Two means you one. But because it's an elderly person, you address the person in the plural sense, tum. This is a unique word. For example, in Urdu, they say for one person, they say two. Anybody speak Urdu here? Speak Urdu. So one person say two. But if I'm addressing the auntie, in Afrikaans it sounds funny, but in Urdu, the respect, the endearment is I say up, which is an Urdu word for, like I say, Tumhara naam kya hai? What is your name? But if I'm speaking to an elderly person, he say up. What is your name? Like, I'm like, what is your name? You follow me? So in language, we have this royal pronoun. And Allah uses the royal pronoun here. You with me? So, لَقَدْ خَلَقَنَا, indeed we created. Everybody okay with that? Okay. The second explanation, inshallah, we'll leave again. Our time is running out also. So we'll get the next. What's the next word? لَقَدْ خَلَقَنَا الْإِنسَانَ. So the word al-insan, tell me, is that the ism fi'lu harf? Ism fi'lu harf. Why do you say it's an ism? At the beginning. You follow me? What does the word al-insan mean? Man. Or if you wanted to say, you can say the man. Right? But here we have a different type of alif lam. So all I want you to do for now is to translate, indeed we created mankind. The man, it's the right answer. The man is the right answer. But here the alif lam, they say, is alif lam lil jins. In other words, it refers to the generic group. And the generic group here is mankind. So Allah says, we created mankind. And how did we create mankind? So you with me? You have the fa'il, the fa'il. Have you come across this concept of maf'ul? Not yet. The done upon. So the doer here is Allah. The verb is khalaqa. We created. What did we create? Al-insan, we created mankind. So Allah talks about creating mankind. What does Allah say? Fi. What does the word fi mean? In. Is fi a ism fi'lu harf? Harf. It's a particle fi. Okay? Then Allah goes and He says, fi ahsani taqweemin. The word ahsan, it comes from the root letters hasan. Hasan means to be good. It means to be beautiful. So Allah says, indeed we created mankind fi ahsan. You will come to learn, but just now, man, if you put our thinking caps on, and you look at the form of the word ahsan, does it fit on the form af'al? Af'al. Does it? So another word that you are very familiar with, you know, when you start your prayer and you say Allahu Akbar, is that on the scale of af'al? So you put there akbar, you put there af'al, and you put the word ahsan. Does it all make sense? Akbar means the greatest or greater than. So in other words, the greatest, if you want to. Akbar, the greatest. Ahsan, the most beautiful. So let's go back to the beginning of the verse. لَقَدْ خَلَقَنَا الْإِنسَانَ. And now you are reading, and how are you reading? You're reading, you're understanding the meaning. And if you wanted to help you, give a translation. So Allah says, لَقَدْ خَلَقَنَا الْإِنسَانَ. Indeed, we created mankind. How? Fi in. Ahsan. What does ahsan mean? The most beautiful. Ahsan, taqweem. The word taqweem for now means form, in the most beautiful of forms. Allahu Akbar. So here just to, this is a discussion that can go on and on and on, but inshallah we'll wrap it up now. So, when we talk about the form, right? So you have, and it's unique how Allah works, man, and how Allah facilitates our guidance today. Earlier on in your advice period, you were talking about the form of man, isn't it? And you were discussing the outward clay form. But you're not only the clay form. You are made up of an external, which is the clay form, and you're also made up of an internal. You follow me? So now the scholars say, alayka birruh. What does Allah say? We created man in the best of forms. Right? So thinking about your external form, which is important. Right? But there's an internal form. Right? And that form is referred to as the form of the soul. And whilst we are preoccupied with our external forms, it's also important for us to be preoccupied with our internal form. That also has a form. So our scholars say, alayka birruh. Be concerned about your internal form. فَإِنَّكَ بِالرُّوحِ لَا بِالْجَسَدِ إِنسَانُ. Because by virtue of your internal form, you are called an insan, not by virtue of your external form. Because the verse you did this morning said that when Allah created the physical form, Allah didn't instruct the angels with anything. But the moment He took the soul and He blew the soul into that clay form, now that clay form elevated to a different being altogether, so much so that Allah now commanded the angels that you fall prostrate in front of this form. Was it the clay form? No, it is the soul. So perhaps inshallah when we do meet again, I'm going to take a minute or two just for us to further discuss the importance of the external form, which is very important. And that external form is the best form in which Allah created you. You might have reservations about how you look yourself. That's your problem. But in as far as Allah is concerned, Allah created you in the best of forms. We'll talk a bit more about that inshallah. And then we'll talk about the internal form. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.